Welcome back to the Backyard Professor Chess videos. Bone broth. Try it. It's a great health drink. Put a little bit of that chicken noodle soup flavoring in it. Tastes just like chicken noodle soup without all the crap carbs. Good stuff for your joints. Okay. This entire video is a congratulations video to my good chess club friend Doug B. And he played an over-the-board tournament this last weekend somewhere down in Florida, and he took second place in his division, U1400. So congratulations, Doug B. Yeah! One of our Backyard Professor chess fans is doing great in tournaments. So he's rated at about 1330. I asked him would he please send me his games. He was kind enough to share this one with me with his permission. I want to show you his game that he won against a 1389 rated player, M. Minier. M. Minier played a great game. This is not just a pushover game for Doug. But let me show you the game. E4, D5, and Doug must have been thinking, target, because he took the pawn. Right up front, baby. Yeah, that's what I like, right there, right there. Queen D5. So the queen is out early. I want you to watch how Doug handles this. Knight to F3, not hitting the queen directly yet. Knight F6. Good development so far. Knight C3. Now he's making the queen move. Queen bumps to one below to D6. Right up the center. D4 taking control of the center. That's good chess, you guys. I'm just so sincerely serious. C6. That's good chess, you guys. Fighting for the center. If he wants to fianchetto his bishop on the king's side when he castles, he'll have a fianchettoed bishop. His opponent pushes to here, bishop f4, center control, development of the whole army. I love this guy. I'm telling you, this is the right way to do this. Queen to b4. Now his opponent is going on an expedition, and again, I mean no disrespect to anybody whenever I video people's games. I'm just simply trying to assess what I'm learning from the Grandmaster games and what I see. Because my games are chock full of mistakes too. Ask everybody who keeps beating me and telling me. Right? The queen is the most powerful piece on the board, no question. I mean, besides the king, right? But a single piece attack cannot work. I've said that before in videos. This is a great opportunity for us to see why. I love how he does this. Rook b1, bringing every piece in, not wrecking his pawn structure, trying to chase off the queen just yet. Now look, knight e4. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Maybe not a one-piece attack after all. Watch. Where is it? Oh, yes. He brings his bishop back to d2. The knight takes the bishop. Yes, and the queen takes the knight. So all bases covered from both players so far. However, I would just like to make an observation. Something we want to evaluate every move if possible. 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces developed and a beautiful central pawn. His opponent has 1, 2, and not necessarily a central pawn. Can you see the difference in the influence? Really sincerely, Doug's position hits more squares and then the queen than his opponent does. all over the board. That means he has more influence. That means he's got good space in the center. That means he can cooperate and coordinate his pieces better. Right? Okay, let's observe to see if this observation works out. Yeah? Very cool to see stuff work when it works and why. Now, if you're going to push the pawn to fianchetto, thus fianchetto. Yes, correct, correct. Bishop e7. Now see, it's not like he's just willy-nilly moving around. He is attempting to get developed. Of course, he's attempting to castle, is what he's doing. Properly so, by the way. And then Doug castles, and his opponent castles. Okay, good. Here we go. Now it's picking up somewhat. Look at what Doug does. Dude! Star! Gold star! Right there on your forehead, pal. First thing he does after castling. Yes, of course. I'll take the partial file. Right through the center. Yeah. Knight f6. Remember, the knight is a really good guardian of the king. Sincerely. That king is not lonely. That king is not out there whistling in the dark. No, that's a decent fortification. Doug has decent fortification. So does this position scream at Doug to try to get something going on the king side, try to get some kind of a tactic? I'm not doing that. I know the queen will be taken. I'm just showing as an illustration. Does this mean, ooh, go get the king, quick right now? No, that position does not call for that. Can you see that? Important to see. Watch how these guys play this. They're doing really well. Now he does say, okay, well, make up your mind, ma'am. Notice he has shut her down from breaking into the queen side. So he does stay on the queen side, bumps it back to a5, and now watch. What a post. Seriously. Bravissimo! Bravissimo! No, I'm serious. Yeah, I like to have fun and goof off, but truly, look at that post. Yeah? Now, control of the center is one of the pillars. Really. You can see why Doug's, seriously. You can see why Doug's position just inspires you, doesn't it? Truly. So, very nice. Very nice. Phenomenal outpost, as far as I'm concerned. At this point, his opponent should be paying attention and watch. Yeah. The single piece attack, there is just nothing there when you have so much development in the game. Really, perfect illustration. Go back home, regroup, and try to come back out. In the meantime, you've been wasting your time, and your opponent has been getting ready. Look how coordinated the white pieces are. That means something. Let's see what it means. Truly, let's just see what it means. And you go, woohoo. Okay. Dominate the center by possessing it with your pieces, Doug. Gee, why don't you try a little harder? Fantastic, yeah? That almost gives you goosebumps. This is great. It's gonna be a screaming. Now watch. Okay, his opponent is not asleep. Doug doesn't just get a pushover, easy, quick win, oh, boring and no good, valuable game. Oh, heck no. No, his opponent is not asleep on the draw. He just had a faulty strategy with not enough of an excursion and too much monkeying around with just one piece. But again, development is only a temporary issue, right? You can see now that he's catching up. And that doesn't mean Doug's going to start losing, or his opponent's going to start winning or losing. But development is only a temporary situation, and you have to take care of it pretty quick if you're going to do something about it. Look. I can't help it. I know I've said this in a couple other videos too, but he bumped his queen back. Now, you really are taking charge. Nothing wrong with taking a moment and making a quiet move. That pawn is all by itself. You don't want the queen to babysit that pawn with the rook there. You don't want your queen across from the rook anyway. That's why he put his rook on that d file, because his pawn is gone and he's got a target. And behind the target is a very valuable jewel. So Doug pushes the quiet move and completely solidifies that center. Guys, that's well done in my opinion. Seriously. That's great. Nice. Now, c5. His opponent is hitting the center. Right? You got to break it up a little bit. And why? Queen on the other side of the rook. Does that help you understand why, if you were black, you don't have to say, well, gee, what do I do now? Are you kidding me? There's a target right there. Remove the obstacle. That's a good move. Really. Good move. How does Doug handle this? He yawns and says, check this out, man. Queen f4. Wow. Now look. Not only is Doug shifting the power to the king's side for the attack, if he decides to attack, yeah. Again, that king is not too lonely. He's got two real good guardians next to him, and his rook can pop over there real easy and fast. No pawns have been pushed, so there's technically no weaknesses around that black king, right? Doug is just gently building it up, it looks like to me. But look at the discovered attack he has potentially by moving that knight off of e5 and hitting the queen, because nothing's protecting that queen. That queen is hanging. So this could be a nice little trick Doug's trying to set up. Yeah? Gotta keep your eye open for things like this. I hope his opponent did. His opponent does strike right at the center. C takes d4. Doug returns in kind. C takes d4, opening up a file where the queen is. Rook takes d4, target using the open file with the rook. Good use. Really, truly good use. Not bad. Knight takes f6. Check. I want you to see this. The option. This is so well done by Doug. Way to go, dude. No joke. If you move this rook, or knight, I mean, that doesn't give a forcing move like check. So he would just swap queens. He wouldn't bother with the rook. Doesn't matter where he puts that rook. It's not a forcing move. So, while it looks like he was setting up the queen, because the rook came and took the pawn, central control using the file properly so, Doug has the nifty little trick. Check. Now he must address that knight. Yeah? This is really cool because it's here that Doug gets a piece up. The exchanges have been even up to this point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. But now Doug has this beautiful little discovered attack on a rook that's hanging. And notice the queen is still hanging also. Way to go. Great little move. Good tactic. The discovered attack. Instead of coming up at the queen, he went horizontally to the rook. Nice. That was nice. Rook b8. Rook b to c1. Target on the file. Very good. It's a forcing move. At this point, because of the lack of a coordination of his pieces to attack, he can't ignore the threat. There's nothing really, he has no way to check Doug's king at all. He has no way to threaten the queen at all, so he must address this. Isn't that interesting? Watch how he addresses it. His opponent is not asleep. He just had the wrong strategy, in my opinion. Bishop takes the knight. That's not bad, is it? Really, truly. Okay. Clever fellow. Really good. Queen. Doug doesn't have to ignore the threat either. He directly addresses it. Queen takes the bishop. Yeah, baby. And the queen takes the queen. And the rook takes the queen. And Doug has the rook pair plus the bishop, which is stretching all the way across the board. His opponent has one rook and one bishop, and therefore he resigned. Wonderful little game. Thank you, Doug. The Backyard Professor Chess Fan Club recognizes your wonderful game. We're proud to have you in the club. If you guys want to join the club, go ahead. You don't have to. I'm going to keep making videos on the YouTube with all kinds of Grandmaster games, as well as some of the fun games that we're having in the club. And we have some of the players who are very high rated, who are beginning to discuss tactics with us, username, and others. I'm going to start presenting their analysis of tactics on these videos also. So there's a lot of material, and I haven't forgot the Bobby Fischer series. I do agree with the comments on a few of you when you said you don't have to do all of the games that draw. I played through quite a few of them now, and I agreed. Some of them I am going to skip. There were a couple of short games that only went like 11 moves or so, and then they called a draw. There's much more interesting materials in the games he either won or lost. Now, the interesting thing about the Fischer series is, my suspicion is there's not a lot of interest in the young Bobby Fischer because he was young and inexperienced and all, but he was a child prodigy, you guys. The good games are here. He began to really wallop on some sensational opponents when he was only 14. And I've got those games coming up too. So I've got more Bobby Fischer. For now, I wanted to honor my friend Doug B. from the fan club. Congratulations, he took second in his tournament. Fabulous. So be good, have fun, do well, drink lots of water, get lots of sleep, stay healthy. Oh, and hey, every now and then, drink some bone broth. Sincerely, it's great stuff, and it's great for your joints. So I will see you guys in the next Backyard Professor Chess video.